Alrighty, so here we have my 75-gallon planted aquarium. So it's been set up for about, I'd say about a year by now, and it's doing extremely well. It's high-tech planted CO2. For the plants, I have bronze crypt, chain sword, and jungle val. And the fish, I have 2 angelfish, 4 black skirt tetras, and I have 1 bristlenose pleco and 4 flying foxes. So, and for the fertilizer dosing, I do Seachem's Flourish line. I do the potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, and iron. And I'm actually not doing Excel anymore, although I was doing that. I actually now have just CO2. I think that's a 10-pound tank of CO2. Yeah, and for the substrate on this side, we have the Eco Complete. And on this side, we have, I think it's the Amazonia substrate with a little Eco Complete in it still. And then for the dosing, I dose 1.5 caps of each of the Flourish, nitrogen, potassium, and iron. And for the water parameters, I'm not sure about that actually. But for filtration, we have the Sun 304B under there. And for the lighting, I have the what do you call it? It's the Fluval Fresh 2.0. And I keep the lights on for about, I think it's 8 hours a day. And yeah. So the tank is doing pretty good. I actually just recently gave that jungle val a big old trim. And for the water, I am actually doing it would be 80% of it is actually RODI from my RODI unit, and then 20% is just tap water. Because my tap water is, like, the pH in my tap water was about 8.6 and above. And that was I found that the dosing it with, or I found that doing the RODI unit, it actually didn't really lower the pH. It softened the water, and the KH and GH were lowered, but the only successful way I've actually been able to lower pH was by the CO2 dosing. Was the only way that I successfully lowered it. I tried chemically lowering it. That didn't work. I tried peat moss. I tried driftwood. And I guess that's all. But yeah, so the only successful way I found for successfully lowering the CO2 was lowering the pH was with CO2. So yeah, as you can see, it's absolutely thriving. I mean, there's a small amount of algae on. Let's see if I can get a shot of this. Let's see here. Well, I mean, I don't even think there's enough to show up on camera, but I mean, there's like, I don't know what kind of algae that is, but it might be a little bit of spot algae maybe, if I can get it to focus. And as I said, I have a bristlenose pleco in here, and it does eat the chainsword. It does nibble at it. Like, I started off with 3 plants, with 3 of the chainsword plants, and they had a hard time, but they finally were able to take over a little bit, and then he still eats them to this day, but he can't keep up with their growth rate, so it's altogether working out. So let's see if I can find him. I don't see him. There's one of the flying foxes. They seem to be doing very good at keeping up with the algae. I originally wanted Siamese algae eaters, but they get a little bit bigger, and I kind of wanted to keep the fish in this tank for a while, you know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing the bristlenose. Yeah, this is a very densely planted aquarium. I started out with about 3 of these bronze crypts, and I don't know, I don't even know, I'd say I have at least 50 or 60 in here. Like, if you look down here, it's just stems and stems. Yeah. And I do get algae on the glass, which I just manually scrape that off every other tank change. I do a weekly water change on this aquarium, and I just did it about 2 days ago, and the plants are still pearling from that, basically. And I recently upped the fertilizer dosage by 50%, so the plants seem to be liking that. They really started taking off just within the last couple weeks, as you can see. Like, if I can get it to zoom in here, or I can just do this. But yeah, as you can see, there's some new growth way under there. Not sure if you can see that, but there's really new growth everywhere at this point. I mean, literally every single plant's just pearling. I know these are, like, originally I had extremely hard water, like so hard that I couldn't even grow jungle val in it. And way that I was successfully able to get the plant growth that I have now is just from the RODI unit and CO2 dosing. But yeah, as far as the Sunsun 304B goes, like, I think I got it for about $75 off of eBay, and I had it for a year now, and it's still doing great. I mean, when it comes to filtering, it's more the media that you need anyway, because if you have a heavily planted tank like I do, you don't really need a lot of filtration because the plants are already doing that. Like, the waste is actually a nutrient for the plants, and they'll absorb that. So, but yeah, as far as future plans go for this aquarium, I want to get some roseline sharks for it because I think they'll look really good with flying foxes. And I hope, I've tried auto sinkless before, but I'm not sure if it's the seller that I'm getting them from, or if it's something in my water parameters that I don't know about, but I just can't seem to keep them going. I think my tank is stable enough that they should be able to, if not be okay, if not thrive in it, but every other fish seems to be thriving. I originally had 2 bristlenose pleco, but one of them didn't make it, I think, as like, couldn't have been 2 weeks after I got it, it died. I just don't think it ate since I got it. But yeah, the fish are doing good. They seem to be happy. Let me see if I can find that bristlenose for you. Yeah, I think it's really impossible. Like sometimes the plants are so dense in this tank that oftentimes I can't see. I don't see a single one of my flying foxes. Although right now, I mean, I fed them about 2 hours ago, so they're still perky about that. But every once in a while, they'll just disappear into the plant growth, and then, like this. Besides, just 3 inches back, and you can't see them anymore. But yeah. So that's the tank. Future plans for it is I'm planning to get rid of everything like this. The plants that I have growing in here right now are just the plants that I tried. The, of course, really easy to grow plants that I've been trying to grow without the water softener and like the excessively high water parameters that they still didn't really survive. They survived, but they didn't thrive. And you know what Corey says, if they're not thriving, they're dying. So I think that's Corey at least. And even the way I can tell if my pH levels and stuff are too low is snails. Like their shells will all start turning white, and that way I did have a well, I still do have the pH test solutions up here, but I lost the sheet, so I can't exactly tell how precisely the parameter levels are. But so yeah, and for the stand right here, I just have the 2x4 stand. I think Corey might have done a tutorial on it quite a while ago. And yeah, for the CO2, I have the timer on. It comes on about a half hour before the lights come on, so it can be dissolved into the water before that. And then the lights shut off, or the CO2 shuts off a half hour earlier than the lights. Yeah, but for as I was saying, for the I plan to rescape my tank with, I'm hoping baby tears, not dwarf baby tears, just regular baby tears, and I really like the chain sword, so I think I'm gonna somehow incorporate the chain sword into there. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know what else. But I do have a rescape to look forward to, at least, I think. Although I really do like the crypt look. I don't know, I think I should try something else, or I might, well, I have a shrimp tank, and I'm planning to upgrade the shrimp tank from a 10 to 30 gallon, and that one I'm going to have a solely baby tier tank. But yeah, so this is my 75 gallon planted aquarium. I mean, just literally like so many plants. They're just purling like crazy. It's amazing, and